Hi, I'd like to share some of my favorite movies. So this is my collection of Blu-rays, DVDs. So first is The Matrix. Great movie. It's all about breaking out of your mind. I love it. I'm actually watching it right now. Um, my acting teacher said that he's seen it over 100 times and that he teaches out of this and out of Star Wars. So it's that. Mask of Zorro. My sister showed this to me in 1999 when I was in North Carolina visiting her when she was in law school. I was 7, and the next summer I visited Orlando and I was at my aunt's house and I watched it over and over and over and over again. Uh, One of my favorites. Star Wars. This is the 3 originals. I bought this when I was in college at Best Buy. There was a Black Friday sale, and I got a plasma TV for $400, a 46-inch plasma TV, and a Blu-ray player. And this is the first DVD set that I bought, or Blu-ray set. It's got all 3 of the originals, with the new changes that George Lucas has put, which most people, including me, don't really like. But I had a marathon that Christmas where I invited a bunch of my friends over. We're gonna watch all 6 Star Wars movies. At that point, there were 6, and we started with 4, 5, and 6, and then we're like, it's 11 o'clock now. We can't watch the others. So these movies are probably the most important to me of any of them. No, this is not a movie. It's a video game, Agent Under Fire. I played this for hours and hours when I was growing up on GameCube. Lost it and then found it again at GameStop for $4 used. So this is a sort of a faux Pierce Brosnan, James Bond, and you get to play multiplayer. You get to drive an Aston Martin. There's this really cool thing on multiplayer mode where you can shoot up into the sky and there's no gravity, and you can grapple hook. You see a building 100 feet away, and then you instantly go there. So this is really one of my favorites. See this? Godfather. I'm a big fan of this movie. I watched it when I was 14, and then at that time, I liked it kind of intellectually. I appreciated it, but I didn't really love it. But I thought I loved it, and as time has gone on, I've come to appreciate it in a much deeper way. There's a lot to be said about this one, and I love the Godfather too, especially his voice. Fredo, Fredo. Apparently, in real life, he had cotton balls in his mouth to help him, I don't know, suck his cheeks in so he could do that voice better. But this is just a really nice photo of this is in the opening scene of the movie with the wedding. This is the family, and they're so classy and elegant, and this whole movie is just a work of classical art, and I appreciate it. Part 2, even better. Al Pacino was asked, does he like part 1 or part 2 better? He says, it's a tough one. I'm gonna have to say part 1. I think it has more of a bottom to it. Roger Ebert, who was a famous film critic, he didn't like this movie as much as I did. I think he gave it 3 stars, and he gave the other one 4 out of 4. He says that this is sloppy, it's disjointed, it follows Michael in the current scenario, as well as Vito, 40 years earlier, coming to New York from Italy and then creating his empire, and it juxtaposes the two. So I like this one better. I think it has a better emotional drama, better emotional content. The production is just as good, if not better. My favorite movie among The Empire Strikes Back and this are my 2 favorites. Okay, this is not a movie, but it is worthy of note. This is a Led Zeppelin concert series. My sister bought it for me when no discs. Okay, they're somewhere. My sister bought it for me in 2006. I just got into rock at that time, and this has a whole bunch of stuff from, I can't even really read this, but Royal Albert Hall, Black Dog, Dazed and Confused, What Is and What Should Never Be. right? And then the more, I think their concerts got better as they went along. 1973 Madison Square Garden is tremendous, and their performance of Stairway at that concert, which is not on this disc, it's on YouTube, is amazing. It's the best version of Stairway ever played, so I think, because it's better than what I've seen on Led Zeppelin 4, and it's just amazing. So I used to turn this on and just blast it. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I like this movie. I'm not the biggest fan, but I liked it enough to buy it. A lot of good jokes in it about birds and coconuts, and it's but a flesh wound and all that. It's a good one. This one, Sweeney Todd. I love this movie. I heard about this from the drama folks at my high school in 2008, and then I bought it. No, I saw it in the summer of '08, probably in Seattle when I was visiting my sister, and I became obsessed with it. And I started singing, and I'd sing Johnny Depp's parts, and I've seen this one maybe 10, 15, 20 times. I know a lot of people don't like it. They think it's a really crazy movie with a lot of stupid, like fake blood scenes and just ridiculous plot, which it kind of is, because basically he becomes a barber and he kills people, and then him and the lady turn them into meat for pies. So it's crazy, but what else would you expect from a Tim Burton and Johnny Depp movie? So, but I love the colors, the deep red. I love the colors of it are very rich. Like there's a lot of darkness actually. There's dark blue, dark black. It's a very dull movie in that sense, but it makes the colors that do come out really vibrant. And the music I really found charming. So I'm a huge fan of this one. This movie, The Dark Knight. This is a great one. So in 2010, there's this thing called Gator Growl, which is at UF. It's their University of Florida. It's their pep rally. And I went 1 year out of 4 years, my first year in 2010, and Aziz Ansari came. So the Dark Knight had been out for 2 years at that point. Right? And he says, so he's talking to a crowd of like 50,000 people, and he's like, all right, how many people, I'll do the voice. All right, how many people here haven't seen The Dark Knight? And like, some people raise their hands because not everyone's seen it. It's like, what's wrong with you people? That movie was amazing! And this was amazing. I saw it 4 times in the theater. I've seen it probably 20 times since. My friend and I quote this day in and day out. We did for years, and we still do make references to it. He sent me a text with Morgan Freeman yesterday. This is who's in this movie is one of the Bruce Wayne's cronies. The depth, the Joker is such a powerful villain, and he contrasts so greatly against Batman, who's all about goodness and virtue and principles, right? And the Joker's like, you're going to break your principles with me. I'm going to drive you to the limit, and you're going to break your principles. There's this crazy scene in the interrogation room where Batman's got him, right? And the Joker's orchestrated this plan where he's got Batman's friends tied up and ready to die. And he's torturing Batman slowly by giving him this knowledge. And Batman is beating him up. And the Joker starts cackling, as he's getting the pulp beaten out of him. And he says, he's on the floor writhing, but not writhing in pain, writhing in joy, the sick joy. And he's like, there is nothing you can do to me. Nothing to do with all your strength. And he's committed to driving Batman to a point where Batman will commit murder. And Joker would take that. He would take that if it meant fulfilling his mission of destroying the most noble protector of the city by driving him to how do you say it? You can't take it back type of act. So this one, great one. Terminator 2. Terminator 1, I saw it when I was young. Really good movie, kind of scary. Terminator 2, great movie. At the time of its production, this was the most expensive movie in history. I think it was $100 or $200 million to produce. and it became one of the highest grossing as well. The music is spectacular. They pick up where T1 left off, which is, although T1 could have ended in and of itself, this is a sequel that was better than the first. And the reason sequels normally aren't as good as their predecessors is that the creators of the movie have a spark when they make the original. It's an instinctive, intuitive spark. And they write something that has a magic to it. That makes a lot of money, they do really well. Sequel comes, they're offered a sequel, they want to make a sequel. They think, how do we make the first one work? Then they take what was a spark and they turn it into a formula, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The sequel comes and it normally is devoid of the instinct that made the first one good. In Terminator 2, this is not the case. Terminator 2 did not follow the mold of the first one. The first one was Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a Terminator coming to kill Sarah Connor before she can birth John Connor, who's going to lead the resistance in 45 years against the AI folks. And in this one, Arnold comes back as a good guy to protect John Connor, who's a teenager, against another Terminator, who's an even more advanced model and even more ruthless. He's a shapeshifter, literally. Like, you shoot him, he turns into like liquefied metal, then just reforms immediately. He's like indestructible, right? So the suspense in this movie is spectacular, and the music to go along with it as well. So Rogue One, Star Wars spin-off 2016. I'm not the biggest fan of the new Star Wars movies, but this one I liked a lot. I appreciated the... Well, it's original in the sense that it doesn't copy off of anything. I like that Vader was in it, though I don't think they portrayed him very well. He was too aggressive, a little bit out of character. It didn't feel like it was him. What did I like about this movie? The drama was really good. The drama was good. And the fight and hustle that the main character had to get the Death Star plans transmitted to the rebels, and the relationship she had with her father, and how she felt like she was fulfilling her father's wishes by doing this. That dramatic human element gave something very rich to this movie, which I appreciated. I cried when I saw it in the theater, and I saw it 3 times, and I bought it. So I like this one quite a bit. The Revenant. I don't really like this movie that much, but I do like it for a certain reason. I like the cinematography. I like the shots. I like the cleanliness of the natural light, of the snow, of that beautiful plain and frontier that he's on. The story itself, like, I can't understand what they're saying because they have very thick accents. It's very gritty. It's very violent. It's about a guy who gets betrayed, and he goes to get revenge against all the odds and all the harsh elements of snow and everything in the Midwest frontier in the 1800s. So, and then DiCaprio won his Oscar. Like, DiCaprio is one of my favorite actors, if not my favorite. So, sort of in honor of all that beautiful natural light, that natural shooting, as well as the fact that he won his Oscar, makes me like this one a lot. There's something very clean about the shooting. The beautiful natural light. I feel in touch with nature by watching the movie. I think that's what I like about it. Pulp Fiction. Easily one of the best movies ever. I've seen this one, I can't tell you how many times. And like, still to this day, me and my friends quote it. Just watch it. And watch it with subtitles the first time if you haven't seen it, because the dialogue is very quick. The magic of this movie is captured in the dialogue. It's not, I mean, the plot is interesting and all that, but it opens, I believe it opens with these 2 guys, right? 2 hitmen who are talking about burgers in Paris. And in McDonald's you have a quarter pounder, and then I think he asked him, What do you think they call he just got back from Europe. He said, what do you think they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Amsterdam? And then he says, quarter pounder with cheese? He's like, No, they use a metric system. They don't know they don't use pounds. So then he's like, oh, I don't know. It's a royale with cheese. A royale with cheese. Right? Like, just like that, right? And they're on their way to kill somebody, but they're having such a casual conversation. And then before they execute this hit, they have this another conversation about foot massages. Then they go into the room, and then they have this other like biblical conversation with this guy before they kill him. And the plot is there, but it's not about the plot. It's about what they're talking about. And it's not just, I mean, these are two of the main characters, but there's a few. There's Uma Thurman, there's Bruce Willis and another storyline, and there's all sorts of just stuff going on. Quentin Tarantino captures and characterizes the people really, really well. And it just within seeming nothingness, beautiful. I wouldn't call it beautiful because these characters are really bad people, but interesting, lively, engaging stuff comes up. So this is one of the best. Inception. I saw this one in 2010 at the UF Theater. They had a free theater where they'd release movies in their student union. And I saw this one there. I didn't understand it. It's a very complicated movie. And you can understand it on various different levels. It's about a guy who goes into people's dreams and there's a plot involved where he needs to convince this guy by manipulating his dreams to do something. But like with Pulp Fiction and with all great movies, it's not about the plot, it's about the people inside and the themes that are fleshed out in the meanwhile. So what's good about this, besides the production, the special effects, the writing, all of which is spectacular, the acting, of course, you have DiCaprio, who'll never do a bad job, all that's good. But I appreciate this from the standpoint of the metacognition or the deeper look at reality aspect, because he's, spoiler alert, so turn it off if you haven't seen it, but he's in a dream. He goes into the guy's dream, and he goes into a deeper dream, goes into a deeper dream. And each time this one dream's about to end, he goes into a deeper dream, right? And he's trying to get to the very core of the guy's subconscious, right? And if you think about it, and then at the end of the movie, you don't even know if he himself is in a dream. See, they have a spinning top, and the top will tell if it's a dream or not, right? So this top is spinning, so the very last shot of the movie, top is spinning. It wavers, and then goes, and then the thing ends. Credits. So it brings into question deeper levels of reality. What level of reality are we accessing right now, right? What level of a dream, if at all, are we accessing right now? Like, what's deeper within it? So from a conceptual standpoint, I really like this movie. Finally, The Lion King. My favorite animated movie. I saw it, a lot of times growing up. When my dad was having some issues with his health a few years ago, I'd listen to the soundtrack a lot. Brought me to tears, and it really meant a lot to me. It's a beautiful movie. It has innocence and beauty. It has with Simba when he's young and Nala. It has majesty with Mufasa in the beginning. It has terror and despair with Mufasa's murder and Scar's takeover of the kingdom. And it has a Return of the King type of feel with Simba coming and reclaiming his role, and then prosperity coming back to the kingdom. So beautiful soundtrack. Circle of Life is a classic song. Like, what's one of the lines? There's far too much to take in here, more to find that can never be found. But all are, and then some say eat or be eaten, some say live and let live. But all are agreed as they join the stampede. You should never take more than you give. And that's one song. There's several very good songs in that soundtrack. And I think when it came out in 1994, I think it was the best-selling soundtrack, best-selling CD of the year. And I'm not surprised. It's a spectacular CD. So, yeah, that's my. I've got some more, but those are just the ones I was able to pick off the shelf within a minute. So movies have meant a lot to me. They've they've changed the way I look at things. I spent a lot of time watching movies actually. They've expanded my imagination in ways that probably wouldn't have happened otherwise, because they give you something that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. You could read about it, you might imagine it yourself, but they present it to you. And each of these movies, however many it was, it's a different world. In Mufasa Land, in Pride Rock, that's an animated world somewhere. In Inception, that's a world in somebody's mind. Pulp Fiction takes place in L.A. with these specific characters. Simultaneously at L.A. you could have, a whole bunch of other stuff that has nothing to do with that. Sweeney Todd takes place in 1800s England. The Godfather in New York in the 40s and 50s, right? Like, it's just every single thing just paints and characterizes a different story, a different life. So that's what I have to say about the beauty of film. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you like this, please subscribe and share this with other people who like it too. I'm Jay Shaw. I'll catch you later.